this is our favorite one, the narrower market.
Yeah.
And it's the place where everyone should start,
Yeah.
but it is the hardest place to start. It really is. It is the most tempting to start anywhere else but a niche.
Yeah.
And because as humans, we are wired to say, the more the merrier, the bigger the pool, the better the odds. And we're just wired that way. Like, and it doesn't matter what business you are a part of, we're just wired that way. And like the opposite is true. It's always that if you can build a smaller, compact, more dense customer base, foundation, whatever it is, that is actually the formula to build something really, really big. Even the biggest companies on earth started with like niche, right? Like Amazon sold books.
Yeah.
And to a degree, you might say that's very broad, but now if you compare that to what they do now, it is extremely niche. So, man, let's start there. I'm just preaching to myself. Like, I just need to be more niche.
So like you hit the nail on the head. The pros of this are that the riches are there because you can maximize your price, your profit, and the value that you deliver. The reason that you can charge more is because you're more valuable to somebody when you specialize in exactly what they're looking for. The problem is it's a slow start. If you start as a niche, day one, it's probably going to be crickets. You know what I mean? And it's a slow build. However, going back to the pros, it's hockey stick growth. You ever heard that term before? Like you've seen like like if you hold a hockey stick on it's up and to the right. Like you can see like a slow build and then
it's Nike symbol growth.
Sure.
It is check mark growth.
Except it depends which side of the Nike shoe you're looking at.
Exactly.
Actually, I don't know.
If it's flipped, you could be going
I don't
down.
know enough about the Nike logo. I know the typical, the correct placement is up and to the right.
Yeah, it is. I am going through this, and again, I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I'm going through this on social media where I specifically am targeting and trying to reach creative individuals and helping them sell more, right? To sell more as a creative without selling out, right? So many creatives think, man, I just got to be a slave to the grind in the field. But I looked at that and said, man, how can I niche down further? Like not just speaking to creatives. So right now I was doing that, but how can I niche down further? And it's like, well, what are some things that are really important to me? And it's like, well, my faith, I'm a Christian, right? So like, how can I now speak to Christian creatives? Because that takes it in more, right? Because not every creative is a Christian, and that's okay. But I want to speak to encouraging Christian creative entrepreneurs and helping them in biblical entrepreneurship. What does that look like? Whoa, right? Like what does Christ-like entrepreneurship look like? So that's one way for me, just sharing on a personal note, that I'm trying to niche down and really speak to a specific type of person rather than, so it started as creative and then just Christian creative. And then it's like, what does Christian entrepreneurship really look like from a biblical lens? And like, trying to speak to that to people who are interested in that.
So the key for you is knowing who your customer is. Or your audience in the case of social media.
Content,
And the same goes for when you're going to a narrower market, you have to know who your best customer is. So if you've been broad for a while, if you've been general for a while, general in your approach, you'll take on just about any project or multiple types of projects. You have to do a common factor analysis. What are the commonalities between my best customers? This is how you can start to develop your niche. Go, okay, I work really well with, people who are Christians. So I'm going to start speaking to them, and I can relate to them because I'm a Christian, and in the same way, that's what Brandon, we don't specifically call out Christianity, but we call out customers with high values. That want to make a difference in their community, that want to do marketing in a world that makes a better place. They don't want to do trashy marketing. They don't want to do clickbaity,
scoundrel.
Not the used car salesman stereotype. Like, we want high quality people who are trying to add value to the world.
Yeah, that's good.
And so knowing who your customer is, you can kind of do that analysis and look through. And, you know, let's say Robert realizes that, hey, I'm here in Lancaster County. There's a lot of old homes, and I've done some really awesome old home remodels.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's a farmhouse, maybe it's in Lancaster City, like a Victorian era home, or maybe it's, you know, just townhomes, you know, that are just built 100 or more years ago. And so he could decide, you know what, I think that's going to be my niche. Like I understand how to deal with old plumbing, old electrical, how to deal with, you know, the different things that are going on in these older homes, thicker walls,
Yeah.
built out of brick versus, you know,
There's plaster, not drywall, right? Like
Exactly.
all those things.
yeah, plaster versus drywall and all these, you know, older construction techniques. So we could do rustic remodels by Robert.
Dang, that's
You know?
the flames right there. Dude.
Yeah.
That's so good, man.
Yeah. So instead, you know, premier remodels by Robert was one thing that we talked about, just in general, nice homes, you know, but let's say, you know, farmhouses are nice homes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and there's some people that have done some amazing farmhouse remodels and made them, you know,
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
you know, frankly, I would live in those homes over Bent Creek or something any day.
Yeah.
You know, like that's,
Yeah.
you know, Bent Creek is a local high-end
Neighborhood.
kind of the high-end neighborhood in Lancaster County.
What's interesting is that you just mentioned go up market versus the narrower market, and there's a lot of similarities between those two, the up market and the narrow market, because they're both sort of premium, right? Because whenever you're narrowing in on something, you're unknowingly or knowingly positioning yourself as an expert in that thing, right? So you are now an expert, which sort of makes you premium. It sort of says, I'm the guy, right? And if you're going to do this, there's a cost. It's going to come at a cost, but also there's a greater cost if you don't work with me.
Right.
And we talked about that with the go up market, right? The fear, leaning into that fear a little bit. And you can do the same thing with the narrow market. You can say, you know, we've been doing this for 47 years. We have the experience. Don't go with that other guy.
Yeah.
You like literally that could be your slogan. Don't go with that other guy. Like imagine.
Well, the idea would be like we mentioned, like old electrical or plaster. If you work with somebody who doesn't understand that at the level that we understand it, like you're going to experience potentially project delays. They might make a mistake that you don't discover for years because they just don't understand what they're working with at the same level. You know, we've seen everything you can see when it comes to these types of projects. So we have that knowledge base because we specialize in this. And so the thing, you're right. In this example, like up market is very similar, but you can go narrow and down market.
Yeah.
You could
Totally.
You could do, you know, Robert's reasonable kitchen remodels.
Yeah.
Like he could
Narrow
you know,
in.
I don't want to do anything but kitchens from here on out.
Right.
And you could just be the reasonable kitchen remodeler, and that'd be narrow, and that there would be riches in that niche.
Yeah.
Because he could he would be able to maximize his processes and be super efficient at just doing that one thing over and over again. He would build up a huge portfolio of awesome remodels, and he would just be the guy.
Yeah. Could you go narrow? I know this is interesting here, but I'm starting to think narrower market is more of a lens to see the other four through.
Could be.
Like almost like,
I think broader and narrower are probably
but like what if, okay.
separate from the other three in some way. Or I mean, I really think up and down are a pair, broad and narrow are a pair, and then adjacent is almost like a strategy. It's like a strategy for niching.
Because even if you went broad and you sold like, I don't know, shirts, I don't know, you could sell shirts with like Fear of God or like those brands like Essentials or like Supreme t-shirts or whatever, right? These are like brands that are like are sought after. They just essentially sell shirts with that one logo on it, and that's it. So that's pretty broad because they're selling like different types of apparel, but they have the same narrow logo. Like it's the same mark on everything.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's any there's examples there. I'm like kind of processing this out loud. I'm gonna go and find examples of like something that's just to break this whole system of a narrow thing that can like also be broad. I know that's crazy,
You
but
can open a remodeling company that is like a pop-up with people lined up around the corner to get your remodeling service. I think Supreme and
those are bad examples.
No, it's not a bad example. It's just very different than like scaling a local service company.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what we're talking about here specifically is like starting something and scaling something. So,
And my knowledge of Supreme starts and ends with things that I've seen in Casey Neistat videos.
okay.
It's very,
One of his vlogs.
yeah. And
Yeah, no, I love it, man.
it's probably 5 years old at this point.
Narrower.
Yeah. So when you go to a narrower market, these are the areas that you can live in. You can live in that philosophical, from a messaging standpoint. Philosophical. We talked about philosophical with the adjacent market and kind of like, hey, why would you've got this problem of you don't have anybody you trust, but you already trust me for this other thing.
Yeah.
In the same way, the philosophical here is like, I wish somebody specialized in my exact thing. Like I deserve to have the perfect home, like the perfect remodel. And it's like, well, hey, here I am. I actually specialize in your exact home. I solve your philosophical dilemma. And obviously like failure, you brought that up. This idea of don't go with the other guy because that could cost you. And then success, like painting a vision of success is always important, but it definitely applies to these narrower things. If you choose somebody who's specialized in your type of remodel, you will find success.
Yeah. So those are the 5: up, down, adjacent, broader, and narrow.
Yeah.
I love them.
If you enjoyed this Brand Nerd podcast clip, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. In the meantime, here are additional videos you might find illuminating.